Imagine ordering a single book online in the 1990s and accidentally helping create one of the most powerful companies in human history. Sounds crazy, right? But that is exactly what happened with Amazon, a company that started in a tiny garage and slowly became something so massive that today it shapes how millions of people shop, work, watch movies, listen to music, and even store data on the internet. But here's the thing. The journey was never smooth. Behind the smiling cardboard boxes and fast deliveries was a story filled with risk, near collapse, brutal criticism, and decisions that shocked the business world. And honestly, if just a few things had gone differently, Amazon might not even exist today. Back in the early 1990s, the internet was still a weird mystery to most people. Many people had never even used it, while others thought it was just a nerdy trend that would disappear. But one man saw something different. His name was Jeff Bezos, and at the time, he was working a comfortable, high-paying job on Wall Street. Life was good, stable career, bright future, zero reason to take crazy risks. But Bezos noticed one small detail that changed everything. Internet usage was growing at over 2,000% a year. That number hit him hard. He later said he wanted to avoid regretting not being part of the internet revolution. So he made a decision that sounded completely insane to many people around him. He quit his stable job and drove across America with his wife while writing a business plan during the trip. Now think about that for a second. He walked away from safety for an idea that did not even fully exist yet, that takes either unbelievable vision or complete madness, maybe both. At first, Bezos wanted to sell books online because books were easier to ship, and there were millions of titles available, far more than a physical bookstore could ever hold. So in 1994, he started Amazon from his garage in Seattle. And yes, that garage story is real. The company had cheap desks made from doors because Bezos wanted to save money. Employees worked long hours, sometimes crawling on the floor packing orders. There was no glamour, no giant offices, no certainty that any of this would work. But slowly something interesting started happening. People loved the convenience. You could sit at home, click a few buttons, and books arrived at your door. Today that sounds normal, but back then it felt futuristic. By 1997, Amazon went public, and investors started paying attention. The company was growing incredibly fast. Bezos kept repeating one phrase again and again: "Get big fast." And Amazon did exactly that. Books turned into music. Music turned into electronics. Electronics turned into almost everything imaginable. What happened next was shocking. Amazon was losing money constantly. Yet investors kept pouring money into the company because they believed Bezos was building the future. Some people called him a genius, while others thought he was running a disaster waiting to happen. And honestly, both sides had a point. Because beneath the excitement was a dangerous reality. Amazon was burning cash at a terrifying speed. Then came the dot-com crash around the year 2000. This is where everything changed. Internet companies were collapsing everywhere. Billions of dollars vanished almost overnight. Investors panicked. Businesses disappeared. And suddenly Amazon looked vulnerable, very vulnerable. Its stock price crashed hard. People openly predicted the company would fail. Critics mocked Bezos. Newspapers questioned whether Amazon was just another overhyped internet fantasy. At one point, Amazon lost around 90% of its value. 90%? Imagine watching your company collapse in front of the entire world. While everyone says you were wrong, most companies never recover from that kind of hit. And for a moment, it looked like Amazon would not either. Employees were laid off, spending was cut, pressure was everywhere. Bezos faced intense criticism because Amazon still was not consistently profitable. People started asking a simple but brutal question: does Amazon actually have a real business? But Bezos stayed strangely calm. Instead of slowing down completely, he kept investing in infrastructure, warehouses, technology, and customer experience. It looked reckless, but there was a deeper strategy behind it. Bezos believed that if Amazon became the easiest and fastest place to shop, customers would never leave. And slowly, painfully slowly, he was proven right. Amazon survived the crash. Not only survived, it came back stronger. By the early 2000s, the company finally started showing signs of real profitability. Customers trusted the platform, delivery systems improved, and Amazon began turning into something much bigger than an online bookstore. Then Amazon introduced something that completely changed shopping forever: Amazon Prime. At first, people thought paying a yearly subscription for faster shipping sounded ridiculous. Why would anyone do that? But Prime was genius, because it changed customer psychology. Once people paid for Prime, they wanted to use Amazon more and more to justify the subscription, and suddenly customers became deeply connected to the ecosystem. This was not just shopping anymore, it was habit. And habits are powerful. But Bezos was still not done, not even close. One of the smartest decisions Amazon ever made happened quietly in the background, so quietly that many people ignored it at first. Amazon Web Services, also known as AWS. Now this part is wild. Amazon originally built powerful internal computer systems to manage its own website and operations. Then someone realized other companies might want to rent that same computing power instead of building expensive systems themselves. That idea became AWS. And honestly, this may have been Bezos' greatest move, because AWS exploded. Today, huge parts of the internet run on Amazon servers. Companies, apps, streaming services, even startups you use every day depend on AWS in some way. For years, AWS became Amazon's biggest profit machine. Not online shopping, cloud computing, that shocked many people. And suddenly Amazon was not just a retailer anymore. It was becoming an empire. By the 2010s, Amazon seemed unstoppable. The company expanded everywhere: groceries, streaming, smart speakers, logistics, entertainment, artificial intelligence, you name it. Amazon wanted a piece of it. Bezos himself became one of the richest people in the world, and from the outside, the story looked almost perfect. But things did not stay that way. As Amazon grew bigger, criticism grew louder. Workers complained about brutal warehouse conditions. Stories appeared about employees skipping bathroom breaks to meet impossible targets. Some politicians argued Amazon was becoming too powerful. Small businesses accused the company of crushing competition, while others questioned how much data Amazon collected from customers. And then there were taxes. For years, critics attacked Amazon for paying surprisingly low corporate taxes, despite making enormous revenues. The company defended itself by saying it reinvested heavily and followed legal tax rules. But public anger kept growing. This is where the story becomes complicated, because millions of people loved Amazon, while millions also feared what it represented. Convenience came with consequences. Think about it. How many local stores disappeared because online shopping changed customer behavior? How many workers felt trapped inside high-pressure systems built around speed and efficiency? Amazon became one of those companies people could not stop using, even while criticizing it. And that contradiction is fascinating. Then came another huge turning point: the COVID-19 pandemic. During lockdowns, Amazon became more important than ever. With people stuck at home ordering everything online, demand exploded. Amazon hired hundreds of thousands of workers. Profits surged, and the company gained even more influence over daily life. For a moment, it looked like Amazon had reached an entirely new level of dominance. But behind the scenes, new cracks were forming. Workers pushed harder for unionization. Governments increased investigations into monopoly concerns, and public trust became more fragile. Even Bezos himself eventually stepped down as CEO in 2021, handing leadership to Andy Jassy, the former head of AWS. That moment felt symbolic. The founder who built Amazon from a garage was no longer running the company day to day. An era had ended. And honestly, many people wondered the same thing. Can Amazon still keep growing forever? Because giant companies often face the same problem eventually. They become so huge that staying innovative gets harder. Now here's something interesting. Amazon today is incredibly powerful, but it is also facing more competition than ever before. Companies like Walmart, Shopify, and TikTok are changing how people shop online. Younger consumers behave differently, and regulators around the world are watching Amazon closely. At the same time, Amazon keeps betting on the future. Artificial intelligence, robotics, healthcare, satellite internet, cashierless stores. The company is constantly experimenting. Some ideas succeed, others fail badly. Remember the Fire phone? Yeah, that was a disaster. But Amazon has always been strangely comfortable with failure. Bezos once said, "If you want big wins, you need to be willing to take big risks." And that mindset still defines the company today. What makes Amazon so fascinating is not just its success, it is the scale of its ambition. This was never a company satisfied with selling books. It wanted to reshape how humans buy things, use technology, and interact with the internet itself. And in many ways, it succeeded. But there is also a darker side to that level of power. When one company becomes deeply connected to daily life, people naturally start asking uncomfortable questions. How much influence is too much? Can convenience slowly reduce competition? What happens when speed and efficiency become more important than people? Those questions are becoming harder to ignore. And maybe that is the real story of Amazon. Not simply rise and fall, but rise, survival, reinvention, controversy, and constant transformation. Because unlike companies that disappear after one crisis, Amazon keeps adapting. Every time people think it has peaked, it finds another direction to grow. That is what makes it dangerous to competitors and fascinating to watch. Still, history teaches us something important. No company stays on top forever. Not Blockbuster, not Kodak, not even giants that once looked untouchable. And maybe one day people will talk about Amazon the same way. Or maybe Amazon will evolve again into something even bigger than we can imagine today. Right now, we are still inside the story, and that makes it impossible to know the ending. But one thing is certain, a small online bookstore built in a garage changed the world forever. Whether that change was mostly good or mostly bad depends on who you ask. So here's the question. When you think about Amazon, do you see one of the greatest business success stories ever created? Or a company that became too powerful for its own good? Let me know what you think in the comments.